The charade of medical marijuana is over. Let's go full legalization in Colorado and Washington. So California was absolutely crucial for that.
The way California has started to change on drug laws and on specifically marijuana law, not as quick as Colorado, but again, bigger state, sort of broader implications if you start getting serious about.
And Colorado doesn't happen if it wasn't for Prop 19. Prop 19, I got a lot of heat. Nick Gillespie and I wrote a piece for the Huffington Post before the 2010 Tea Party election, in which we argued that Prop 19 was ultimately going to be more important than whether the Tea Party wins a bunch of stuff or the Republicans take the House. And we were mocked universally for it. But I think history, even though Prop 19 lost, showed us that we were right, because what that did is Prop 19 itself was entrepreneurs going around the established pot legalization groups. They didn't want to do this. They have their own system. Like, you have to get this number of polling before you do your medical marijuana. You do that. You go in your place. And Richard Lee was like, screw it. Let's go now. I've got money. I want it legal. Let's try it. And only at the very end of the process did the legalization groups get in and start supporting this. But even by getting 46% of the vote, even though the entire serious establishment of Californians, every single newspaper editorial board with the exception of 2 or 3, Schwartz, every single politician said, oh, what were they smoking? You know, this reefer madness, this kind of stuff. Despite all of that, it came that close to passing, and what that did was change the argument over, okay, it's no longer going to be about medical. The charade of medical marijuana is over. Let's go full legalization in Colorado and Washington. So California was absolutely crucial for that. And there's even an argument that it's comparatively big, like Wild West scenario where they got cracked down like crazy in the Bay Area especially, but also LA after Prop 19. Basically, it was almost directly politicized Justice Department crackdown on the medical marijuana industry. Even after all of that and the pain and the human suffering that has caused, there still has been a comparatively less regulated medical marijuana industry in California, and that's allowed for the development of things that we haven't seen as much of in the more regulated and regimented states, like private sector people figuring out a code of quality of how you get people to submit and test their stuff and this kind of thing. So maybe even though it's been chaotic, that through that chaos they've been allowed to experiment more, and that's ultimately been helpful, and it'll be legal there sooner.
Well, traditional war on drugs types have argued marginally before, but now I think with increasing sort of agitation, that if you do open the door on something like pot, what you're going to find is it's just going to become yet another industry or business that becomes co-opted by government and sort of captured and made horrible. So sure enough, and this is at a small scale, but the city of Berkeley has now decided that it is an injustice if poor people cannot obtain marijuana. So the order has gone out to the dispensaries to now give away the pot to the needy pot smokers who cannot afford it. Do you see this becoming a problem, or
Yes.
is this just something that we can sort of brush aside?
There is a problem. I mean, the problem is, go to every city in California with Santa in its title. You're going to have basically pots effectively decriminalized. They've passed a local thing. It's like the cops aren't going to deal with it. Exact same cities, you probably can't smoke a cigarette in your apartment, or you're moving that. I mean, they're going like this on this issue, and they're not seeing that connective tissue. It's us freaky libertarians who say, hold on, it's actually about freedom. Stop telling people what to do. And California's going to get to those moments. I mean, we see in Washington with the way that they have legalized now, they have added so much regulation and so much tax onto their system, and also managed crony capitalism. They've created shortages out of the bat coming out. Can you imagine? It's okay, we can finally sell this stuff openly. Where is it? So we're going to have that problem. Winning the drug war on good terms is going to turn out to be a much stronger focus of people. Just like, when alcohol prohibition got repealed, it created this bizarre 3-tier system in most states. We have to separate the producers from the distributors from the end, all this kind of crap. And so you couldn't get booze in Dallas, Texas until a few months ago. I'm worried about that in cities, in states like California and the cities within them too, that they're going to go in that direction. They're going to go from we want to get rid of the prohibition to, of course, this is going to be mandatory on the companies that are doing business there. And it's going to be an ongoing fight over the next 10 years, as we otherwise win at least the war on marijuana, which is 90% of the war on drugs.